Hari Om. So, one very important question that I thought, I should make a video on today, and a very important topic. Should we look at children's charts? Okay. Quite often asked that. Is it right to look at people's, children's charts? Different astrologers have different perspectives about it. And here's what we do differently. With Astro Life Coaching, we don't just look at the Vedic astrological, reasoning with it. We look at the practical application according to psychology, practical application according to where we are today in the world. Okay, that's very different. And so, it's true that a child is under the influence of his or her mother's karma for a long, period of time before they mature. So at least until the age of 10, they're pretty much under the influence of their mother's karma. That's true. Yes. And it's only after they begin to mature that they begin to have a mind of their own. Somewhere around Jupiter maturation, which happens at 15. Okay? That's when there is a sort of growth in the hormones that differentiate them into proper individuals than just children. But you can take safely around about prepubescent years, 12, you could say roundabout, before your teenage starts. Until that period of time, a child is pretty much under the influence of its, his or her surroundings. That's what we think. And so it makes no sense to look at their chart, when they're that young, because a lot of those karma, that they are here to execute in this life has not even begun to take shape, form. They're not being driven by their own will. Okay, that's what the understanding we have. But then a lot of my students have asked me this, a lot of my clients have asked me this, and it makes a lot of sense to ask this question. What about the exceptional individuals like I think Bach? What he was performing at the age of like 6, 7, right? Exceptional talented individuals who have actually made their career around about 15, 16 years of age. Sachin Tendulkar, I think he debuted at the age of 16, right? And people who, children who ace things like spelling bees, national spelling bees, or, who are geniuses at the age of 10, 11, 12, solving complicated equations, By 18, there are people who have actually graduated college. So, what about these gifted individuals? Are they under the influence of their parents' karma? Does none of this sort of belong to them? And also, the darker side. What about children who go through very unfortunate incidents early in their life? Accidents and unfortunate, incidents with older adults who are exploited. What about them? Is that also happening because of their parents' karma? So when you start looking at it from this multi-dimensional lens and you add the flavor of where we are in the world today. What? Children today, the average child has access to semi-pornographic content as soon as what? 10 years of age? 11 years of age? Young girls are getting their periods much earlier. Some even around about the age of 10, 9. So we've seen a huge cycle shift where young women are becoming sexually formed earlier, and they're also entering puberty earlier, and they're also entering menopause earlier. So there's a huge cycle shift which no one's talking about. Like, Vedic astrology doesn't exist in a bubble, man. Please look at it from every perspective. And if you are abreast of the news, look at the kind of crimes that are happening at the age of what? 12, 13? I think in India itself, I read a news 2 weeks ago. Children stabbing each other in the school. Seriously, I'm not joking. Those of you who are not in the know, please Google it. You'll be surprised. In the US, well, over there I'm sorry, it's not funny, but over there you have 12-year-old kids, shooting the entire school, 13-year-old kids shooting the entire school. So what the hell is happening? Here's what's happening. Look, everybody's chart does have an influence on how their mind is shaped. Okay? It's just that we're living in times where things are so fast forwarded. Okay? Things are so enhanced. AI, technology, smartphones, internet, things are so connected, dark web, so enhanced that the same experiences that were earlier also being activated as a result of a person's chart. Let's say somebody's born with Saturn, Moon, Mars. Let's say somebody's born with Ketu, Moon and Saturn, Rahu, right? Let's say somebody's born with Ketu, Moon, Mars. Earlier as well, these young individuals were struggling to, find their individuality and express that individuality in a healthy way. Bullying incidents were happening earlier as well. It's just now the scale has become such that young, reckless, unformed minds have so much more available to them to wreak havoc that you cannot begin to imagine. Why? Because this, phone that I'm shooting this video from, this phone is, as powerful as supercomputers used to be, when things started out. What was the storage space that floppy disks used to have? I don't know. I don't remember. I think not more than KBs, something of that sort. And you're talking today in GBs. You're talking AI. You're talking softwares that are free for everybody that can help you edit, transform, and make things look a way where they're hyper realistic. The deep fakes and all of that. So in this day and age, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to say is that you really today, now more than ever, need to rely on some methodology that weaves in spiritual guidance into how you are talking to your children, how you are trying to understand your children, how you're trying to be there as an adult for them. Okay? For us, maybe, in our times, HTML, but I've seen HTML sites. I've seen things mature when, bootstrapping was actually a thing, Okay, now you have to make it, responsive to phone screens as well. Today, that's baked in. For us, today, what kids are doing, today, how smart they are, today, how money is not a problem for them. Today's kids, they don't think of money as a challenge. You tell them 10 ways, they will tell you 30 ways of how you can make money. I'm serious. In today's day and age, if you want to show up as a parent, if you want to show up as a mentor, if you want to show up as a guide, if you want to show up, even as a caring uncle or aunt or teacher for your, children, you have to find a way that connects you to them spiritually. Because today, they don't need material guidance as much. They need spiritual guidance in a way where it is our responsibility to balance out the technology, to balance out the material with also the spiritualism. Otherwise, what the hell? We're just going to turn into robots. So should you look at charts of children? You definitely should. How? Well, when you look at children's charts, look at their moon, look at their sun, look at their Saturn and Mars. Forget about everything else. I'll teach you a bunch of techniques next time. Why these 4 planets are the most important? Why? Look, if a child has moon debilitated, or more so, hemmed in between malefics, conjunct malefics with a lot of malefic influences, think moon, Ketu, Mars, moon, Saturn, Mars, moon, Saturn, Ketu, moon, Rahu. Moon being afflicted actually shows, and moon in 8th is not that bad if it's on its own, Moon in Scorpio, if it's on its own, is also not that bad. This is going to become a very introverted, intense kind of an individual, right, with highs and lows. Moon conjunct these malefic planets. Now that is something where if you spot that in your child's chart, you have to understand that these are individuals who are going to need more mothering from your end. You're consciously going to have to take out time to sit with them, talk to them, do homework with them. These are not the kind of kids that you want to leave on their own with just technology while you do your own thing and you just give them money for whatever they want. No, because it is their requirement. The fact that Moon is hemorrhaging so many malefics, it shows that quite a lot of fears that exist for these children, quite a lot of experiences that are going to form that Moon, how it is conjunct those planets, malefic planets. And those experiences are not going to be easy. They're not going to be nice. Early on, they would have these experiences, but they would still find a way to deal with it. Parents were more present. Things were a lot slower. There was a lot less chaos. There was a lot less dynamite in the hands of children. Today, somebody with this particular, conjunction or these particular placements can really project it outwards in a bad way. Now, don't start becoming suspicious of your child if they have this placement. I'm just trying to help you understand that, look, today's day and age, these are the first few things that you need to look at. So, Sun, as I said, Moon, Sun, Saturn, Mars. Sun, why do you need to look at the Sun? See, Sun placement is going to tell you about this child, how their confidence is going to be formed, how their sense of individuality is going to be shaped. Okay? So Sun in 12th house, people will make such a hue and cry about it. Sun in 12th house, Maranakaraka position. Shut the hell up. You can only say a few Sanskrit words and you go off, scaring everybody. Shut up. Okay? I apologize. See, Sun in 12th house, Sun in 7th house, Sun in 4th house. These aren't really that bad placements anymore. Sun in 12th house is just a person who is very imaginative. This is the kind of kid that when they ask you for an iPad to design stuff, this is the kind of kid who probably needs it. Okay? Sun in 12th house individuals, these are the kind of individuals who need that creativity. They can do very well if you give them some technological help to hone their skills. Sun in 7th house. These are the children, who actually are going to learn a lot from other people. Their confidence is going to be through the connections that they form. They're going to be the chatty type. They're going to be the social type. Okay? This is probably going to be your businessman. This is probably going to be your entrepreneur in the future sometime. Or a banker or something of that sort, but definitely very social. Sun in 4th house. This is going to be the individual who likes to do things their own way, in their own space, on their own time. Okay? So these are the kind of children that if you spot early, okay, Sun is in difficult placements. He's not that happy, right? Happy Sun is where Sun is, naturally seen 1st, 5th, 10th. Sun is happy there. 9th, even 11th, even 3rd. But these difficult placements, 7th, why? Because it is the natural debilitated placement for Sun. 12th house, it's called the Marana Karaka already. Went on and on about that. Sun in 4th, because it's on the, northern side. Right? Northern side of the chart. Why is that a problem, you may ask, for the uninitiated? Because Sun moves through the south in the northern hemisphere, right? Through the south is where the Sun is seen the most. Okay? So that's where the most power is. On the northern side, on the western side, it's not that powerful. In the 12th house is when Sun is there in the morning, 7:30. It's there, but it's hiding behind the trees, behind the buildings. Okay? So this is one way. This is something which can help you understand your kid better. For sure. Okay? Now, Saturn-Mars. Why? When you have Saturn-Mars strong in somebody's chart, this is going to be what you call sort of a late bloomer. Why am I saying sort of? Because if somebody's blooming at what, 28, 30, 33, are they really late? I mean, don't you think like 30, 35 is just in time? Right? So, however, people who have Saturn-Mars prominent, right? Like they're retrograde or they're conjunct or they're in the 6th house or the 10th house or they're forming an important yoga, right? Like one of the Panch Mahapurush yogas, let's say. In that case, this individual who you see, this child that you see, try to be as much as you can be present for these children. When they ask you stupid questions and you think my kid is so dumb, they're not dumb. They're understanding things in a very slow and methodical manner. When their Saturn return kicks in, when their Mars maturation kicks in, around about 28, by 30, this will be a different individual. So if this is the kind of child that you have and you see, my God, he or she is always scared of everything. Why can't they do simple things on their own? Why do they ask so many stupid questions? How do they not understand simple processes? Like the door, yeah, that's how the door is hinged. That's how it works. Why doesn't it work like this? Well, that's because where the hinges are. No. Saturn, Mars, strong individuals, they are collecting data. Their mind is collecting data. They're questioning the simplest of foundations up till age 28, 30. Okay? Now, if these are conjunct the nodes, let's say Rahu or Ketu, now this is an individual who's going to be very unconventional in how they apply those things. They will have to go through a lot of repetition. Life is sort of unusually hard for them. Why does this help you when you look at your child's chart from this perspective? Because children can sometimes have Saraswati early. Looking at children's charts is not to predict what they're going to become. Looking at children's charts is a way for you to interpret the world for them, understand their physical experience, help them understand the physical experience. Because they're going to struggle with it. They're going to ask a lot more questions than kids did, 30 years ago? 40, 50 years ago, children were to be seen, not to be heard. Today, the world is very different. So, should you look at children's charts? Yes, but these planets in particular will tell you a lot. This is where you start. Okay? You can give them mantras, for the deities associated with it. You can, look at the nakshatras, and on the basis of them, you can advise them. Don't get pujas done by pandijis, for some shanti part or something. No, that's just something. Yeah, sure, that can work, but that's very passive. What you ought to do is you ought to see, if you see a kid, moon, absolutely problematic placements, sun in problematic placements, moon, Saturn, Mars, difficult. Okay, these are individuals who need a little bit more help. Need you to be more present, need you to be more industrious with them. Somebody who has great placements like Jupiter, Venus, yeah, these could be the indulgent ones that you need to sort of, watch out for. This is where you have to learn, okay, you know what? You have to learn discipline. Life is not all about enjoyment and fun and games, especially if somebody has Jupiter, Venus conjunction or Jupiter, Venus, Moon conjunction. Okay? Venus, Rahu conjunction. All of the conjunctions and all of the main placements that I've talked about, they will start showing up at a young age. Okay? They're all on the channel, you can explore them. And the crux here is just, it's not a bad idea to start a little early, to help them make sense of life as they are growing up. Provide them the notes early, before technology, before propaganda, before indoctrination through all of these numerous channels that are open today gets to them. It's not the job of schools to raise your children. I'm really sorry, but that's a fact. You can ask me, okay, we'll see you do it differently. Yeah, maybe. Right? But the point is, you have to understand that if you are relying on the framework as it exists to raise your child alone, right, then the framework is broken. It is. We're not living in a utopian world, are we? Right? So therefore, that's your support system. You have to see, spot, guide, provide guidance early, or you could reach out to somebody who does that, who you trust. Okay? So that's just something that I wanted to make a video about, right? And as this year is actually drawing to a close, made a lot of content this year. I enjoyed making a video every year, every day. It really was fun. 25 more days, and then, probably next year I'm going to just take a break, focus on other projects that are coming up, right? If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel so that you can stay abreast of all the wonderful content that I post here. Push the bell icon so that you can be notified every single time I post. And if you are interested in being a part of my Astro Life Coaching Practitioner program, where I actually teach you how to apply these concepts to study charts to make sense, to provide guidance, a few slots are still open. You can apply. Okay, I'd be happy to review your application, see if we could be a good fit working together. Not a lot. So, if you've been meaning to get in, now's the time. Thank you so much. Take care. Adios.